first like to say thank you all for being here. We are coming down the home stretch to some really big ball games. Every game has been a big ball game for us, and that's one of the things that we like to say is that every game's a big ball game here for JCSU. We say that at the beginning of the season, and it really holds true right now. Like to say that we're really excited about this time of the year. We're pretty much as healthy as we've been since week 1 or 2, and I think we're starting to play with some really good chemistry and some really good attention to detail. Was really pleased with how we played this past Saturday. Now we'll open it up.
Coach, just looking ahead at your opponent.
Yes.
Obviously, Winston-Salem State, they've got a record this year that's not necessarily as great as their program historically has been. But how do you keep your guys rooted and just making sure that they're not overlooking an opponent and making sure that they handle their business each and every week?
Great question, Cam. I think it's just experience. We've got an experienced team, and we can look no further than last season about possibly looking by someone. We know Winston-Salem State, they want to beat Johnson C. Smith. This is a rivalry game. Winston and Johnson C. Smith, part of the reason it's a big rivalry is because of the distance, and the biggest alumni chapter for Winston-Salem State is in Charlotte. And there's now that we've beat them 2 years in a row for the first time, and I want to say I think it was since 75, 76 that we had beat them 2 times in a row. So we know they're going to come hungry. And also their head coach, a very good friend of mine, Robert Massey, he's a Charlottean, went to Garinger High School. So he's coming home. He's going to be excited. Matter of fact, we normally don't speak game week, but this time he decided to break that rule and call me and ask me for some tickets. So I'm going to oblige him, but we know it's going to be a tough game, though, and we'll be ready for it.
Coach, Winston-Salem has put up some numbers.
Yes.
And I know your defense was really tough. Kind of talk about your defense and how you stopped the game plan with Winston-Salem.
Well, with Winston, it starts with their quarterback. Very good. Comes first off where he came from in high school. Shelby Golden Lions, they always in the state championship run in the race for it, and he's legit. Big, strong, fast, strong arm, and he's a junior, and we've played against him every year. He's gotten better every year. His receiving core is outstanding. He's got some good guys to throw to, so we've got our work cut out for us. Coach Tripp's going to have him ready. This is what we call, this is Coach Tripp's week where he leads the team. He does a lot of the head coaching duties this week, with this being his alma mater, and knowing that might be one person on our staff that wants to beat Winston more than me, and that's Coach Tripp. And so he's gonna make sure they're ready to go. But the thing about our defense right now, I think if you saw a little bit of a difference in them this past week, is number 25 is back. And number 25 is Tynan Tucker. Tynan Tucker's played half a game for us all season long. He's been banged up, but he came back last week. And when Tynan plays, we're different. And so he brought a lot to the table last week, and we look for Tynan to continue to continue his good play. But another thing with our defense, when you're playing a team that can throw the ball well, you got to have your pass rush going. You want to be able to generate a pass rush without having to send pressure. D-line last week set a record, school record for sacks, I want to say, with 9 last week. Defensive line, we've got a lot of guys that play there, and they've been doing a good job. Standout's been Kadrika Stanley at D-tackle. Been doing a great job. This past week we had D-lineman of the week and KJ Haynes, but there's a lot of them that we look for. But it's going to start with the D-line, and we got to be sound in coverage and have good communication because they are explosive offensively. And they had 2 running backs run for over 120 last week, so we know they're explosive, and we've been putting up some good numbers. They've been putting up some good numbers, and but we don't want to have a shootout. That's for doggone sure. So look forward to the defense being ready to go.
Coach, you guys have been kind of road warriors, it seems like, this season. You've had a few home games, but you've been on the road a lot. Just how good is it going to be to get back in front of the JCSU faithful?
Well, wow. We the last time we were home, it was homecoming. And whenever you play Winston-Salem State, in Charlotte, it's going to feel like a homecoming crowd. So we're looking forward to it. It's going to feel good to be home. Like you said, we played some big games on the road, going to Richmond to play Virginia Union, going back to Virginia to play Virginia State in Petersburg, and then we just had to go to Shaw University. And we'll say happy homecoming to them also. So as they chose us to play for homecoming. So we have been on the road a good bit for some big games, but we're excited to come home. We really are, especially playing in Durham County Stadium. One thing that stuck out there was the turf was slick, and it was really slick. And I was glad we got out of there with no injuries. But our young men were glad to get back to the home confines for practice, and we're looking forward to having an outstanding game on Saturday. But it's going to be a big crowd, and it's just exciting. This is an exciting time for us to play those Rams, and there's a lot at stake on the line. So, excited for this big game at home.
And Coach, I know the CIAA South is no more, but when you look at these last 3 games you got, man, it is a gauntlet of teams that really just don't like each other.
Yeah.
And with you guys coming in, kind of being the hunted, just talk to me about what you guys are expecting and just the mindset going into Winston, knowing that you got pretty much back-to-back games that are going to look and feel the exact same.
Yeah, I tell you, bring up a couple good points there. What we have to do is we have to play well. And we know that every game that we're going to play, and again, I'm going to give you the coaches speak. We're only worrying about the game in front of us, but what I can say, we know these last 3 are going to be the toughest ones on our schedule up to this point. It always is. Right now it's the Old South. It's what we're playing, where everyone is familiar with each other, where you have coaches that have coached at a lot of these places. You have some players that have been at some of these places, of these schools, and there's a lot on the line. Like Winston's coming in, they do have 3 conference losses, which pretty much puts them out of the championship game hunt, but they're going to come to play. They're going to come to play. There's no doubt about it. And they're not going to give us this victory. And so we know we have to earn it, but it's going to be a physical game. Winston is big. They're strong. They're fast. They're talented. They're well coached. And I know they're hungry because they've lost to JCSU 2 years in a row. I'm sure they're catching it from former players because I've got plenty of my friends that were Winston-Salem State Rams, and I'm glad to tell them, hey, we beat you 2 times in a row, because that hasn't happened a lot. And to hear it hadn't happened since 75, 76 for us to do it, I know that it's not a good campus to be on right now when it comes to Johnson C. Smith in football. So they're going to bring their best game. And, for the rest of the weeks, we know what's at stake. We were 8-0 this time last year and finished at 8-2 because of the CIAA South and how tough it is. And guess what? We played a Fayetteville State team that was done and had no chance at the championship, similar to how we're playing Winston that really doesn't have a chance at the championship. So again, experience is what we're leaning on. We really, when we say been there, done that, we really have been there, done that. Now it's just what have we learned from those experiences.
And you talked about being healthy, coming into the year, the talk was just, seniors, returning guys. Now we look at it.
Yeah.
Man, it's really been a youth movement. The young guys, Bobby T. Smith, you've really had some young guys come up. And I remember during the summer, when I specifically was really amped up about the seniors, you made it a point to talk about, our freshmen are going to play and you're going to practice them like they play. Just talk to me about that mentality and just what it's been like seeing these young guys step up and take it from practice to the game, what you've been teaching them,
I'll say that it really is a testament to our program. In our program, we always have said when freshmen come in, don't ask about being redshirted. And if you're a redshirt guy, our guys know everything about our program is about competing every single day. Just come and do the best that you can. And we've got that happening everywhere. It's something when we have our meals, like we go to hotels on Friday evenings, and then we have pregame meals Saturday morning. We introduced them to dinner by going by classification, and so we go seniors, juniors, sophomores. But when we get to freshmen, we have to go redshirt freshmen, then freshmen. And that is a big group. And so it surprises me that we travel that many because we are such an older team. And so I'm just so proud of them because all they did was go to work. All they did was go to work. They kept confidence in themselves. And I applaud our older players in creating an environment that's developing, teaching and developing. So I'm so happy with our program as a whole, our coaches for how we teach and how we develop, our players for setting a good example, and for teaching the youngsters, and the youngsters for coming in with such a great attitude. And you can look on both sides of the ball. Both sides of the ball, we're playing some young guys. On that offensive side, redshirt freshman Bobby Smith doing a great job running the football for us. But then when you go to those receivers, man, you've got number 0 Reggie Daniel, redshirt freshman, doing an outstanding job. And then you've got Brian Lane, number 5, who's doing an outstanding job. But I tell you this, yes, there's a freshman that's probably forgotten about or not seen in on the outside, and that's our center. He's a freshman, Marcus Andrews from Atlanta, Georgia, and he's a monster, young guy. He's he really plays beyond his years. And so when you look at your starting those guys, you're just not happy for right now. You're happy for the future of the program also.
Coach, last one for me. I wanted to talk a little bit about Kelvin Durham and
Yes.
just how he has elevated not only just the offense as a whole, but the team. When you just look at his stats, I mean, he's got 165 quarterback rating. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't do much better than that. 250 yards a game, 17 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions. Maybe talk about his leadership qualities first,
Yeah.
but because his play on the field speaks for itself.
Yes. Well, the first thing I can say about KD is he knows the system, and he knows me. I'm smiling because our relationship now is so much different than when we were first together at Fort Valley State. When we were at Fort Valley State, he was a freshman, and we like to help freshmen grow. And he needed some growing when he was there. He stayed in the doghouse. I called him a Florida guy because whenever the weather wasn't sunny, he just seemed to have a problem with the ball. And then when it got this time of the year in the fall, he didn't practice well because he wasn't used to the cold weather as a young guy. And when we were reunited with him coming here, it was the first thing that stood out was just how mature he had been. He'd grown. I mean, when I said before, when he first came here in January, when I said, when I recruited him, he was a boy, but now he's definitely a young man. That's it. That's the nail on the head. KD is such a leader. I really don't speak to the offense a whole lot anymore. He does it all. He knows the expectations. After practice, if something hadn't gone right, he runs the offense. He makes them run sprints. I don't have to do a whole lot anymore. And so that's a great thing. And it's also when before we started playing, I remember saying that we haven't seen the best of him because he had good practices. He's a great practice player. But I said we hadn't seen the best of him because the best of him is when the game starts because he competes. He competes hard. And so that's what we're seeing. He's come in and he let everything happen naturally. He didn't try to force himself as a leader. It just naturally happened. He showed the team that he's a worker. He showed the team that he's going to perform. One of the things I'll point out is one of his first passes he threw with us was an interception. One of his first passes when we started practicing was an interception. And I was like, that is good because now everybody's going to say, what is he going to do now? And boy, he lit it up the rest of the practice. And so that's just who he is. He likes to compete. He likes to set a good example for the team. He likes to lift other players up. He's the key to us. I mean, and you want that from your quarterback. You want that from your leader. And the way that he's come in and done it, I mean, I just can't say much. But I tell you what, he had a game this past Saturday where his completion percentage wasn't quite where we wanted it, and so he's come to practice this week with a little extra something. He's because he didn't like what he put out on the field on Saturday against Shaw. All the way around. So that's who we're dealing with. And just I love his demeanor. I love how he carries himself. He's a guy that wants to get better every single day. And so, and I think it's contagious to everyone. Well, there's no, I think we've arrived or we think we're good. I mean, we're coming to work every single day, and a lot of that is experience from last year, but a lot of that also is who we're being led by.
And that concludes our press conference. Oh, you one more.
Sorry. Can you please talk about the chemistry of the team and how it has evolved this season?
That's a great question, and I'm glad you used that word chemistry, because what we felt is that is what has been missing our first 5 to 6 games of the season was the total team chemistry. Like I talked about the freshman starting at center. He wasn't starting at the beginning of the year. We had some injuries in the offensive line where we just weren't all together flowing. Receiving core, we've been without Brevin Caldwell except for one game. So there's been a lot of things going on with the receiving core, even though it looks like, hey, they're putting up good numbers, we were still figuring this thing out. You go to the defensive side of the football. Wow, Tynan Tucker, our one of our safeties, hasn't played a lot. TJ Tabron, 4-year starter at the other safety, he's been injured some. We've had some defensive linemen going in and out. So, and then I haven't even mentioned the tailback position. The tailback position, we went through FBS player Camaro Edmonds, Avante George. These are guys that were in the top 10 in the CIAA in rushing last season. So we lost those 2 guys. And so you talk about chemistry, the bye week for us was right on time. And that's what we felt. We felt that our defense played. We've been playing good defense, but we hadn't been playing what we called dominating defense. And some of it was because of chemistry. And so when we hit the bye week, that was a key for us. We said we're going to get healthy and we're going to get team chemistry going for this stretch run. And that's what you really see right now is last week was we came off a bye, had a good week of preparation, and what you saw was a team that's starting to get good chemistry.